Hello and welcome. My name is Meepolis, they, she, he, and this is Literally Graphic. And today we are looking at I Know You Writer by Leslie Stein, published by Drawn and Quarterly in 2020. I picked this up as part of my interest in reading comics that discuss abortion. Content notes for all kinds of nosy behavior / assumptions people feel free to participate in relating to reproductive choices and nihilism. According to her profile on Drawn and Quarterly, quote, Leslie Stein is the cartoonist of the LA Times Book Prize award-winning Present, as well as I Know You Writer, Bright-Eyed at Midnight, and The Eye of the Majestic Creature series. Her diary comics have been featured in The New Yorker, Vice, and in the Best American Comics anthology. She lives in Brooklyn, New York, end quote. I also noted that according to a CBC article on I Know You Writer, they describe Stein as a New York-based Canadian author and cartoonist. Keywords that came to mind reading this graphic autobiography: memoir, heterosexual, watercolor, vignettes, interviews, and family. The official summary of the material is, quote, a candid and philosophical memoir tackling abortion and the complex decision to reproduce. I Know You Writer is Leslie Stein's rumination on the main complex questions surrounding the decisions to reproduce. Opening in an abortion clinic, the book accompanies Stein through a year in her life steeped in emotions she was not quite expecting, while also looking far beyond her own experiences. She visits with a childhood friend who's just had twins and is trying to raise them as environmentally as possible, chats with another who's had a vasectomy to spare his wife a lifetime of birth control, and spends Christmas with her own mother who aches for a grandchild. Through these melodically rendered conversations with loved ones and strangers, Stein weaves one continuous conversation with herself. She presents a sometimes sweet, sometimes funny, and always powerful, empathetic account, asking what makes a life meaningful and where we find joy, and other questions, most of which have no solid answers, much like real life. Instead of focusing on trauma, I Know You Writer is a story about unpredictability, change, and adaptability, adding a much-needed new perspective to a topic often avoided or discussed through a black and white lens. People are ever-changing, contradicting themselves, and having to deal with unforeseen circumstances. Stein holds this human condition with grace and humor as she embraces the cosmic choreography and keeps walking, open to what life blows her way. End quote. Looking at the writing and the art, there's a lot of good stuff in here, and Stein demonstrates a lot of skill in her narrative choices. That said, the choice to not fill in people's faces was rather disconcerting. I also feel like the philosophizing was a bit limited. Like, obviously I'm reading books that are connected by discussion of abortions, but if we are going to crack open the philosophy of things, there's a lot of regions in reproductive justice as a whole that felt pretty untouched, at least as far as I can remember, although I'm not the only one to get a bit lost in the narrative. Overall, I would not rate this a very intersectional work, which is not particularly surprising, as this is generally how autobiographical comics go. That said, I'm glad I am finally getting to an anthology comic next, as I am getting a bit tired of the fact that each of the books I've read so far have been about singular experiences. But that's my fault. So yeah, I feel like it all balances out to 3 out of 5 stars though. Bye y'all, keep reading and organized to end capitalist oppression. And as always, Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders, which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, non-Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.